And I have to go to
All right. 1 second. Let's see. All right. We'll hang out for a second while everybody joins us. Sorry for some technical difficulties earlier. We're running a little bit behind, but that's all right. We're still happy to be here. All right, guys. I'm Mac. Welcome back to another edition of What in Health and Human Performance. Today we are discussing social work, a really cool program here, and we're really proud of them. Today we have our academic advisor, Miss Rebecca Stanford. We have program coordinator, Dr. Abby Schwartz, right here in the middle. And then we have our interim director of the School of Social Work, Dr. Joseph Lee, right here down at the end. Unfortunately, today is his last day with us in that role. However, we're super excited to bring in Dr. Kirk Foster here shortly. So today we're going to talk about social work, and I guess we should just kind of start off with some general questions for you guys. Social work. Tell us about the degree and what students will be studying.
Sure. So it's first of all, it's a generalist practice program, right? So what that means is you're going to be getting a general understanding of the discipline. So working with individuals, families, communities, groups, organizations. So you'll get a nice overview. Some of the classes that you'll take will be practice classes with communities, practice classes with groups, also policy classes. I know people tend to be a little concerned, but there are 2 research classes as well. So that's a bit of a general overview, but were you going to add something?
Yeah, I was just going to also say that the little bit about the degrees, you also have some, we also have different like concentrations, so to speak, to where you can get, if you want to focus in on something that you really enjoy, you can. So we have that child welfare collaborative that you can get, which you would take that in your senior year. And then we have the School of Social Work licensure certificate, to where you can become a licensed school social worker. We also have a gerontology minor track if you want to work with the aging populations. We do have some specialized tracks, so you don't have to choose between those specialized tracks. It is an option that you can get into. We do have a good chunk of students that do at least one of those 3, or some that do none. So.
And I think there's a new minor as well.
Yeah, so it's the Promoting Equity in Health and Human Services minor, and people can start enrolling in that in the fall. So I believe that the academic catalog for that will include that will be coming out shortly. So if students or prospective students give it a little bit more time, you'll be able to find that in the academic catalog.
Nice. Okay. So, what kind of backgrounds do professors have in this unit, and like, why is it beneficial to learn from them and their experience?
So, our faculty have different interests and different training paths and experiences. So, for example, my background is in gerontology. So, if you want to do the Gero minor, reach out to me. I highly recommend it. I also coordinate that program, but we also have faculty that have background in child welfare who have worked in child protective services, for example. We have people that have worked in substance misuse. We have people who have interests in cancer. So we're really kind of all over the map in a positive way, so that if you're not quite sure what you would like to do in social work, first of all, that's totally fine. But if you want to learn more about different things that you can do in social work, you should look up the faculty members on the department page and their backgrounds, and maybe reach out to them and say, hey, I'm interested in child welfare. Can I talk with you about it? So really that's often what I recommend to students to do, to learn more about faculty, but also their options, as well as people that they can talk to learn more about certain areas.
Can I add in? I think one of the things that's exciting about social work is it can involve both working with individuals, so sort of that sort of clinical mental health side of things in the field, but it also has other pieces that are about working with neighborhoods and working with policy. And you rarely get that in a field where you have all these different levels, basically, where you can be trying to make a difference in people's lives.
Awesome.
Yeah. Just to add to that, and thank you for adding that. So for example, I'm not all social workers are clinicians or licensed. So I'm not somebody who is a licensed clinician, right? So I wouldn't necessarily, for example, practice and be a therapist, because that wasn't the direction I wanted to take. However, I'm really interested in health policy, and health inequalities and things like that. So we do have faculty, like Dr. Lee said, that have that licensure, and more clinical backgrounds, and then more that are maybe more macro and interested in those types of areas. So that was an excellent addition.
And so you're from gerontology, what's that?
Yes. So gerontology is the study of aging, older adults and families,
Okay,
just
cool.
in brief.
Yeah, I'm sure there's way more to it, just so I was on board with what that was. Okay, so let's say I'm a student with this degree, and I'm not totally sure what I want to, but I know there's obviously a lot of jobs associated with social work. I'm gonna guess my job forecast looks pretty good, but what kind of jobs would I be applying to? Tell us a little about that.
Well, I think you can work with, I know it's ABA, the LP, correct? ABA, the LP? So you can work in ABA, the LP. I do have some friends that are all actual social workers that work in that, and so they got those jobs like right off the bat. And then that may be your starting position, your starting job may not be something that you may want to end up if it is awesome. But that I do know that is one job possibility. I think you mentioned earlier that somebody is working in a library. And we have people working in the courthouses and in the jail systems as well.
Yeah, we have an alum who actually interned at the sheriff's office and then was hired at the sheriff's office as a social worker. One of the things that I tell students is you will get a job.
Yeah.
It may not be working with the specific population that you want to right out of the gate, but that's okay because you're going to gain experience as you go along. And just to give students a sense of that there are jobs out there and what is the outlook. Of course, I like statistics, so that's why I was shuffling my papers. But we have between 2019 and 2029 a projected growth of 13%. In the field. So that's much faster than the average for all other occupations. And something that was always a number that kind of stood out for me, and this might be from the National Association of Social Workers or CSWE, there are more than 700,000 professional social workers employed in the United States and more than 3 million worldwide. So that just gives you a sense of the depth and breadth of how many people are out there practicing social work. So again, you will get a job.
Yeah, it sounds like there's
but,
definitely demand.
yes,
and
there's
a need,
demand there.
so.
And I also think a lot of people do worry about like, can I get a job with just my bachelor's degree? Do I need to get a master's? And I want to like say yes, like you can get just a bachelor's. It doesn't need to go get a master's to get a decent paying job. You can get a decent paying job with just that bachelor's degree. But like mentioned before, it may not be where you want to start off first, but it is.
It gets you where you need to go.
Yes.
Sounds good. Okay. Okay, so Rebecca, question for you.
Yes.
Based on previous students that you've advised, what were some of the classes that students like really loved, recommend to their friends, stuff that they really liked?
Yeah, so I would have to say like the two beginning social work classes, that's where we get a lot of those students that I find like, oh, I didn't really know about this, I really loved it, I have recommend it, is that Social Work 1010 and 2010, which is the introduction to social work and the child practice, social
So
practices.
human diversity and then like the history of social
Yes.
work and social welfare.
So those are the two
History.
that people I recommend, even if you're just kind of considering if you want to take social work, get into at least one of those two classes, and you can definitely get a feel for the social work program. And some of the other ones that I would say that people recommend it would be more so later on towards the end of the social work career is when those social work electives. We get a lot of high demand for the people who want to get into the substance abuse social work class as well as the crisis interventions one. But we also have like the needs for the school social work class and then the child welfare. But some of the big hit ones that people are always asking about that may be different from those degree paths tracks would be that crisis intervention and the substance abuse ones that people enjoy a lot.
So if you're thinking you might be interested in social work, but you're not 100% sure,
Yeah.
you might want to consider taking social work 1010 or 2010 as a starting point so that you get some basis of an understanding of social work as a starting point.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's a gen ed, right?
Yeah,
So like
those are-
anybody at any level
Yeah.
can take that,
Yep.
including
Yes.
incoming freshmen.
Cool,
Yes.
cool. So anybody can take it, you don't need to be in the program.
Yeah, so another question for you, Rebecca. All right, so let's say I'm an undeclared student or maybe a high school student who kind of what we've already talked about a little bit of I'm not sure about what I want to do in life yet, which is totally cool, you know. But what are some previous experiences or classes I've taken or things I'm involved in that may point me to having an interest in the social work program?
Well, the best thing I can say is that I can't really nail it down like one specific class, especially for high school. But the best thing is getting out and getting involved, doing volunteer work, getting involved in different groups. The social work field is a very helping program. So we strive on helping students and helping the community thrive and succeed. So I would say if you get a sense of joy and commitment out of that, like you really enjoy helping people, you really like seeing people succeed, social could be the path for you. Get involved with some different volunteer organizations. If you're in anything volunteer work, you may be interested in social as well.
I just want to add, a basic part of social work that's so crucial is this idea of being a change agent and social justice. And so if those are things that really speak to you, as well as being personable and enjoying being with others, then that's something that you should really think about and consider.
Okay, so we unfortunately didn't get to have a student join us today. However, we still have a lot of students active, so maybe we'll see some in the future hanging out with us and talking with us. But social work requires an internship, and it requires maybe a lengthier one than most programs do. Could you tell us a little bit about that and like what kind of internships students participate in?
Yeah, so in your final semester as a BSW student, you will be doing your internship placement. You have what's called a field seminar on Mondays, and then the remainder of the week, you're in the field. So that means you're actually taking what you've learned and applying it in practice. This could be a little bit of a nerve-wracking moment for students, which is completely understandable, but you will have supervision, so you'll have people there to help you. You have your seminar so you can really deconstruct your experiences in a safe space as well as process what's going on in the field. Our students are placed pretty much everywhere. We have a field office that is responsible for doing that, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention these three amazing people. LaTanya Gaskins, Miss LaTanya Gaskins is the director of our field office. Ms. Janine Jason Gay is the assistant director of our field office, and Margaret Mayo is a field placement coordinator. So they'll work with our students, do kind of an interview process, which allows you to kind of flex your professional muscles a little bit before getting into the field to kind of figure out where a placement might be. We've had students placed all over. So for example, you might be in the Department of Social Services working in adult and aging. You might be working in CPS, Child Protective Services, but you might be at a library. I had a student that was placed at a library who I provided external supervision for. You might be at a homeless shelter. You might be doing something related to domestic violence. There's really anywhere that you could think of, a social worker has been there or will be there. And we see that happening now, especially with police departments and things like that. I don't know if there's certain places that kind of stand out to you where students have been placed.
The ones I guess the students stand out is like the schools. I get a lot of requests for the schools, and so a lot of students want to go into Vail. But I do want to say, I'm pretty sure you mentioned it, but we do help place students in the field so that it's not something they have to go search for, so we do place them, so it's not something they have to reach out for that. And yeah, it's one other thing is also like when you take this class, it's always done your very last semester, and you're not supposed to take any classes with it because it's kind of like a full-time job is how we treat it. So you want your main focus is to be go do your hours and come for like maybe once a week for those classes for the discussion about what happened.
What is something that you guys have kind of heard repeatedly about maybe what a student's favorite aspect of ECU, HHP, social work, any of the above? Anything stick out to you guys?
I think that the field experience is really what speaks to and is Not that their classes aren't
Yeah,
meaningful,
yeah.
but, you know, that's kind of where the rubber meets the road. And so that's really where they can show and what they've learned, but also grow and be ready to graduate and then get a job doing
Yeah.
social work. So they have that experience right before they graduate. Then they, you know, go into the workplace. And so I think for our students, that has been the most meaningful. And you can see that because we have many alumni who then provide supervision for students in their internship placements. So we have alumni who are then helping to, you know, these BSWs get ready to learn and then graduate and move on. So I would say that in my experience from what I've heard has probably been the highlight for a lot of BSW students in the program.
I'm sure it's super useful to, you know, take what you learn in the classroom, apply it to your internship, because
Yeah.
you can learn and learn, but once you actually apply, it's
Oh,
totally
yeah.
different. So.
Well, and there's certain things that we just can't teach in the classroom that you need to go out and do in real life, right? And that's why that seminar is in place to help support students as they go through that experience. And that's why they have a field supervisor to help them as they go through that experience.
Same thing. I was just gonna say the internship is the best one. And I get a couple emails from students that like after they graduate, they let me know we'll go at and how they're doing it. So that's always good to hear as well.
Another benefit of having an internship experience is sort of the culminating part of your degree is that at least some students will get a job at that placement because
Yes.
they've been working there, they're known there, they've gotten experience there, and so it's sort of a little bit of a pipeline into jobs sometimes.
And I think that speaks to how we train our students. We are really dedicated to making sure that students understand our Council for Social Work Education competencies and our code of ethics. So when they do get to the field, they are professionals. They're not just students. They're social work professionals. They're colleagues. And I've, you know, had as a seminar instructor, I've had people who are there's all different terminology that gets mixed up, but they provide placements for our students. Say like, do you have any more students
Yeah.
that we can provide placements to? So I think that speaks strongly also to the connections that we have with our community partners too.
Yeah. And I'll say I've seen you interact with community members who have like job listings and they're like, hey, please like send this to your students, which I think is super cool. So there's always job listings, it seems like,
Yes.
which is awesome to have. So yeah. Is there anything you guys want to add or discuss while we're here? I don't know if we have any questions. I don't think so. No?
No, I think just that we're here so that if there are questions that
Yeah.
people might have after watching this, to just email us and
Yeah.
we'll be happy to answer. any
Yeah, you guys
questions.
can always leave questions in the comments and we will address them. If I can't answer them, Dr. Schwartz can, Rebecca can, whoever will get your question answered for sure. So yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for
Thank you
joining
so much.
us.
Thank
If you guys need anything, feel free to message us.
Bye.
Bye.